Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving the Mercedes C-Class Facelift. Now this is not the top end variant because this is not the AMG line. This is the progressive variant. And let's quickly open the engine bay right away. So here it goes. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of space here in the engine bay. Mercedes logo over here. And obviously there's good amount of insulation as well. Certainly looks beautiful. I mean, the understated elegance of a Mercedes-Benz is just something else. Just look at the car. Obviously this is the facelift, so it gets a lot of changes like revised headlights and tail lights, revised bumpers as well. And on the interior front, not much has changed really, but the electronics are 80% new. So let's quickly look at the headlights. Now these are LED high performance lights. These are all LED lights. Now these are not multi-beam headlights which are there on the AMG line variant, which happens to be the C220d. As you can see, it gets front parking sensors over here. This is the towing hook, and the attention to detail in the light is just something else. Just look at it, LED DRL over here. And this car is just class. The Mercedes-Benz logo looks so beautiful over here as well as over here. It's massive and it's large. As you can see, the car actually looks very nice and purposeful. As I come to the side, look at the wheels. Yeah, these are kind of small for a car of this class. 225/50, 17 inches over here. And as you can see from the side, it does look a bit freshened up. It actually looks like a shrunk down S-Class or an E-Class because yes, the Mercedes-Benz family design language over here. The taillights have been revised as well. Again, LED units. They look beautiful at night. The only thing being that this car being red color, well, the light is kind of getting merged. However, the lights do look really nice. And of course, over here we have got fake exhaust. These are not really exhausts as such. Rear parking sensors, blackened lower part of the bumper, chrome lining over here. The exhaust is actually over here. Twin exhaust over here. I don't know why this fake treatment has been given for the exhaust. Massive size tires as well. So yes, this car does look very nice indeed. Yeah, it's kind of small. It's not really very big, but then it's a C-Class and it's not an E-Class. The E-Class is massive actually in length because it's a long wheelbase version which is being sold to us in India. Let's quickly open the boot. So here we go, opening the boot, and all the way it goes up. There's a small problem over here though, because the spare wheel has been placed over here on the top. It's a space saver. It doesn't get an alloy wheel. This actually hinders the boot carrying capacity. Meanwhile, there's space to keep stuff over here. I mean, luggage nets and stuff like that. Overall, boot could have been better. There's a light placed over here in order to close it. Well, it's kind of light. It's actually very light, the boot to close. Let's quickly get into the rear seat of this vehicle. So the doors open large and wide. Door pockets are decent sized as well. And as you can see, this is a 4-seater because the transmission tunnel is quite big over here. The seat is very comfortable. Good amount of back support, but under thigh support is poor. However, legroom and knee room is good in this vehicle. And headroom is not that great because my head is almost touching. It gets a massive panoramic roof as well. Well, it's not one-piece unit, but still it brings in the airy feeling. Obviously, the roof is finished in a lighter color, sort of a beige. As you can see over here, you've got a sun visor. Meanwhile, it's there over there as well. It does get 3 headrests over here. There's a center armrest here as well, and there are cup holders too. They open nicely. This also opens, storage space over here to keep stuff. Meanwhile, as you can see, the cabin does feel nice. Isofix child seat mounts, plenty of airbags in this vehicle. The AC vents placed over here, but there are no AC vents over here on the B pillar, and you can't really control the air conditioning from behind, but you can shut it off using this switch. Anyways, as you can see, the cabin is really very comfortable. The seat is nice, good perforation as well. Let's quickly get into the driver's seat. Actually, there's not much to talk about because this is a C-Class. It doesn't have really too many features as such. There's no keyless go. There is a push button start though. Over here you can see the door pockets are large enough. This is to open the boot of the vehicle. This is the lock and unlock button, and these are the power window switches of this vehicle. This is actually to adjust the outside rear view mirrors. Meanwhile, this is the adjustment of the driver's seat. Even the front co-passenger seat gets all the adjustments like this. However, I've got a BMW cover over here on my phone. Anyways, as you can see, the seat is nice and comfortable, and under thigh support shouldn't be an issue on the front seat. Yes, as you can see, it can be moved by the press of a button, putting it down. Good amount of support on offer, but this is manually adjustable for the under thigh support, although there's good amount of under thigh support for the front passengers. Meanwhile, this is the handbrake of the vehicle. This is for the headlight switch. This is to turn on and off the car, and this is a manual adjustment for the steering wheel, so you can adjust it for both reach as well as rake. Meanwhile, the AC vents are really nice and classy. These round AC vents, in order to turn them off, all you have to do is put them on the left side and they are turned off. As you can see, the car is kind of low. You sit low. The dashboard is nice and attractive. This screen over here is having a lot of information. As you can see, it shows the front of the Mercedes C-Class along with the light. Meanwhile, let's quickly turn on the vehicle. So when I press this button, it does a full swipe up and turns on the car right away. So the meters aren't very modern as such because it's an analog unit, but over here in the center we get a big screen. Now I'll tell you what is the major change in this vehicle. Well, it gets a new steering wheel which is similar to the one on the E-Class, and it gets touch control. So this right side touch control is for this screen and this left side touch control is for this screen. So all you have to do is press it like this and you can browse through the various menu of this vehicle. Now you can control almost everything. Press this home button and as you can see, it will give you all the information, everything on offer, right from telephone, media, radio, navigation, trip assistance and service as well. So there are a lot of features in this vehicle. In fact, this sunroof of this car, it is a rain sensing sunroof. So in case it rains, the sunroof will automatically close. That is very smart. You can see the sunroof is actually very massive, but it also opens up for the front one, not at the rear. And the amount it opens isn't very large. Yeah, it's doing stuff automatically. I'm not pressing anything. Anyways, as you can see, the cabin is a very nice place to be in. Quality levels are surreal. In the C300 AMG line, it gets a flat bottom steering wheel. The steering wheel is nice to hold Mercedes logo over here. And let me turn off the air conditioning. It's making a lot of noise. So these are actually the controls for the air conditioning. These are the controls for the infotainment system. This is for the vehicle. You press this button, it gets into vehicle. There's a lot of information over here. With the rotary select knob, you can just browse through this. There are ambient lights and light settings and whatnot. I mean, this car is loaded with a ton of features, right from assistance. So once we get into assistance, you can get into ESP. You can turn off ESP. I don't know why the ESP is even turned on. It should always be off because even when you turn it off, it's still very intrusive in a Mercedes car. So you can get into camera and park assist. It gets self-park. Now let me get into reverse. As you can see, the screen is large enough. Adaptive guidelines as well. Rear parking sensors, front parking sensors. And obviously the screen is very nice because it has been upgraded from a 7-inch to a 10.25-inch unit. It gets Android Auto connectivity. It gets Apple CarPlay as well. And let's just remove this plastic sheet for the moment. Actually, not for the moment, remove it permanently. Now the screen looks really very nice. As you can see, it gets a new sort of wood over here. Now this is less likely to get scratched. It's a very premium quality of wood and certainly ups the appeal of the C-Class. Over here, we get a storage bin along with 2 USB ports along with an SD card port over here. Meanwhile, the glove box also can be locked, by the way, is decent size. There's a light here as well. However, it doesn't open much. Anyways, as you can see, the car gets an analog clock over here, which looks very classy indeed. And over here, you get an ashtray along with a cigarette lighter over here. Sorry, things are flying. And over here, there's the Mercedes key. Over here, there's the Jaguar key of the F-Pace. Twin cup holders over here. So you can keep the key over here. They actually made a sign to tell you that, okay, you should position the key like this over here. That's kind of interesting. But does it fit? Yeah, it absolutely fits right into that slot. That is very, very, very cool. So this is actually the guest selector and this is the stalk to control the indicators and also the wipers. So press this. As you can see, the spray is massive and nice and cleans the windscreen in no time at all. Obviously, it gets an auto dimming inside rear view mirror and there's a sun visor over here, which by the way gets a light as well as a mirror. Same is the case over here as well. Everything feels so premium and nice and built to a very high standard in this Mercedes. Obviously, it's a Mercedes. These are the controls for the light. There's a sunglass holder over here and my sunglasses have fit here almost. Anyways, as you can see, beautiful lights over here. In order to turn them on, press this button. There they turn on. And actually the light quality is also very nice in this vehicle. I absolutely love the sportiness of the C-Class because of the black cabin. There's a signature over here, rather an autograph is there as well. Air conditioning works really well in this vehicle. You can see on the leftmost we've got a speedometer. On the rightmost we've got a tachometer. Below there we've got the temperature meter. On the left side below we've got the fuel meter and a lot of telltale lights placed all over across. Over here you can see this is a nice control because actually this car doesn't get a touchscreen. Most Mercedes don't get a touchscreen, but you can browse through this touchpad, which is very nice and fluid. You know, this is the rotary knob. This is to get into home. This is to turn off the screen. You can also press this button to retract the rear sun blind on the rear windscreen. Press this button and there it goes back down. So these are the controls on the right. This is the volume control button. Over here, this is to go back. This is for the drive modes. Yeah, it has got 5 drive modes. So individual, sport, sport plus, comfort and eco. As you can see, this is the button for the parking sensor. This is for the parking camera. There it turns on right away. This is to turn off the stop start system. Now the car has turned on again. When I close this, Look at the beautiful finishing. It looks so fluid and nice actually. Now let's quickly get into the infotainment system. As you can see, there is something known as Connect Me, there's vehicle, there's telephone, media, radio, navigation. Actually, you can browse through all of this using this button itself. Meanwhile, this is to get into the home button. Yeah, now we are into home, and this is for the volume control. This is to pick up or decline a call. This is for voice assistance, and actually voice assistance works quite well. Meanwhile, on the right, this is the button for the cruise control. It gets a lot of ambient lights as well, and overall feel of the cabin is really very nice and premium. So here, let's get into vehicle right now. So I'm in vehicle, and when I browse through, I can get into the light settings. There are a lot of ambient lights, so let's get into ambient lighting, and as you can see, it gets so many color options. There are 64 color options for the ambient light. That is massive for a car of this segment. Honestly, if an S-Class has it, well, it's great, but if a C-Class has it, it is phenomenally awesome. So now let's quickly play an audio track right away. Audio quality is just surreal. The speakers work really well in this car, and the insulation is also good, so nothing really vibrates inside. That is a thumbs up to the audio department at Mercedes-Benz. So as you can see, this car hasn't got many changes on the exterior or the interior, but in terms of driving, there's something big over here because it complies with BS6 emission norms. Let's get driving. Alright, we are all set to go, which means turning off the air conditioning first things and turning off the traction control the second thing, getting into sport mode, yeah, in sport plus, and getting into gear right now. Meanwhile, I think I'll have to re-turn off the traction control. Yeah, traction control turned off, and we are all set to go. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, and off we are. This gearbox is so responsive. Do you notice that, it actually punches you? Yeah, that's right, it actually punches on upshift. That's the kind of response this gearbox has to offer. So this is the C220d, which is powered by a 2-liter diesel engine. It's a 1950cc engine, and the reason for under 2 liters is a big boon for Mercedes-Benz, because in case NGT decides that okay, tomorrow we need to ban diesel engines above 2000cc, well, this diesel engine will not fall under that ambit. Anyways, as you can see, performance is really very slick. In fact, this diesel engine has seen an improvement in punch from the previous generation C-Class, because the old C-Class used a 2.2-liter diesel engine which produced 170 horsepower and the same 400 Newton meters of torque. This also produces 400 Newton meters of torque, but that torque comes in a wider rev range from 1600 RPM all the way to 2800 RPM. Crucially though, that the power has increased to 194 horsepower, which means that 24 horsepower more is there in this car, which results in a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time of 6.9 seconds. That's more than half a second quicker than the old model. Now this is the same engine which is used in the E-Class as well, the E220d. However, the big difference over here is the fact that Mercedes-Benz has made it BS6 compliant. Yes, this engine complies with BS6 emission norms way ahead of the deadline, which happens to be April 2020. Now to do this, what Mercedes-Benz has actually done is made several changes to the vehicle. Now it gets a DPF, which happens to be a diesel particulate filter. It also gets an SCR, which happens to be selective catalytic converter, and the result is that this car on BS4 fuel is BS6 compliant. Now in order to do that, they have something known as AdBlue. AdBlue needs to be added at every service, and that helps in basically complying with the stricter emission norms. Now where is the position of that? When you open the fuel tank lid, it is right there next to it. So the performance is very brisk. Low end is great. It feels punchy throughout the rev band. In fact, this motor is so punchy that you rarely feel that you need to downshift, but if you need a downshift, this gearbox gives it in immediate time as well. This 9G Tronic dual clutch automatic gearbox is just phenomenal with shift. It's extremely quick, it's extremely refined, and most importantly, it's very silent. The engine itself is very silent and refined. The refinement from this engine is just something else. It feels unlike a diesel engine, and compared to the older one which wasn't very refined, this is super smooth, feels like a petrol, although once you get out of the car you can feel the diesel clatter, but otherwise it is extremely refined. It's so smooth and silent as well. It's only in the mid-range past 3000 RPM that it starts getting vocal, but it gets vocal in a sporty way, and it redlines all the way to 4500 RPM. Now obviously I can get into manual mode. Right now I'm into sport mode. There are 5 driving modes on offer. There's eco, and there's a stop start system as well, and there is comfort, there's Sport Plus, and there's individual as well. However, it responds the best in Sport Plus. Now what does this actually alter? It alters the engine, gearbox, steering as well as the air conditioning. Obviously it doesn't get any sort of adaptive suspension on offer, but the steering does way up better in Sport Plus mode. The steering actually is quite good, although it is not as responsive as the old C-Class which used a hydraulic steering. This one uses an electric steering. It's light at lower speeds, weighs up brilliantly at higher speeds, and you can obviously manually take control of things using the steering mounted paddles as well. So yes, the steering is nice and fun, and this C-Class has actually dropped 100 kgs of weight over its predecessor. So this is underpinned by the MRA platform. This W205 C-Class's suspension has been stiffened up. Even the chassis has been strengthened because of the lighter weight to counterbalance that. And yes, the ride is on the stiffer side at lower speeds. It's not very compliant at lower speeds, but as you build the pace, it really flattens out brilliantly well, and this car remains very glued to the road at higher speeds. Obviously do not expect it to offer utmost amount of comfort at lower speeds, because yes, you can feel the firmness of the chassis as well as the suspension setup. And for India, in order to increase the ground clearance, they have used taller springs as well. As you can see, this car offers terrific performance for a 2-liter engine, but there's a bigger surprise because there's something known as the C220d, which is the same 2-liter engine in a high state of tune, producing 245 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. That is much more quicker, and it only comes in one variant, which happens to be the AMG line with a sporty body kit and whatnot, but we'll talk about that on a different date. There's also petrol on offer that happens to be available in the progressive trim. So there are 3 trims on offer. There's the Prime, which is available in the C220d only, and there's the progressive, which is available in the C220d as well as the petrol. The petrol is a 1.5 liter unit. Yes, 1.5 liter, and all of us were bitching about Audi using a 1.4, but it still produces a lot of power because it produces 180 horsepower. It's a turbocharged unit, 280 Newton meters of torque. I believe it's going to offer great amount of performance as well. Meanwhile, there's a C300D, which is available in the AMG line trim, and the one I'm driving right now, it is available in the progressive trim. Now there's something known as the Prime trim as well, which is the base variant, which costs rupees 5 lakhs less than this trim. So the on-road price of this car is rupees 53 lakhs. The on-road price of the C220D Prime is 48 lakhs. Meanwhile, the C300D goes all the way to rupees 58 lakhs, and the petrol, it's available at 51.50 lakhs. All the prices are on-road Mumbai. As you can see, performance is really very nice from this engine, and I just believe that if you want the balance of economy as well as performance, you should opt for this C220D. However, I'm too inclined towards the C300D. In terms of fuel economy, this is rated at around 12 kilometers per liter as per ARAI. In real world conditions, it should return somewhere around 10 to 11 kilometers per liter, which is kind of great as well. The only thing is that the fuel tank isn't very big, because this has a fuel tank capacity of 41 liters, which means that the range, the overall range, isn't that phenomenal. Anyways, as you can see, I absolutely love this car because the handling is also very nice. Body roll is very well contained. It's light, it's agile, it's nimble, and really likes to dart into corners. The best thing about this car is, I'll tell you a secret, my favorite car isn't the M5, isn't the E63S, it is actually the C. The C, yes, it is the C-Class, not the C-Class, but a version of the C-Class known as the C63S. It is an absolute racket of sorts. It feels like a go-kart, very punchy, very much fun. So if I have to buy a car today, I will close my eyes without any budget restriction. I would opt for the Mercedes-AMG C63S, because that is how phenomenal it is. And this C-Class, according to me, is the entry-level Mercedes, the real Mercedes, because if it's a Mercedes, it has to be a rear-wheel drive to start off with, and this too is a rear-wheel drive, unlike the MFA platform cars, which are front-wheel drive and honestly don't offer the feel which a Merc should. Now obviously I have turned off traction control right now, but it doesn't completely turn off. Mercedes cars don't really turn off traction control all the way. Yes, there is some safety net involved over there, but the problem over here is that in order to turn off traction control, you have to go through a whole menu, go through various settings and stuff like that, which is kind of cumbersome. And the steering, although offers good feel right now, the alignment is gone for a toss. As you can see, when I'm pointing straight, the steering is a little to the right side, but hey, that's fine. Ground clearance could have been better on this vehicle. You have to be really careful over bad roads, and most importantly is the high speed stability, the driving fun, the driving feel, and the punchy nature of this diesel motor, which makes this C-Class such a phenomenal machine. The entry level C-Class is absolutely the one to buy right now, because it is an absolute beast of sorts. However, the BMW 3 Series is coming. The next generation model is going to be launched very soon, and the battle between Mercedes and BMW is going to start all over again. Fingers crossed. I don't know which side I'm going to be on, but but this facelift, which was just launched last year, and this generation of the model which was launched in 2015, might start to show its age in front of the newer BMW. But that said guys, the feel, the luxury, and obviously the Mercedes brand snobbery is unmatched. Anyways guys, if I had to nitpick, I would say that it should have got the digital instrument cluster, considering BMW and Audi already offer it in the same segment. If you like this video, you know what you have to do. Give it a thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. Say bye. Bye bye. Like कर देना वीडियो by the way.